just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers.
And just look at the anguish, that real raw anguish on Savannah's face when she says that. Now, what comes across not only in words but in tone is the exhausted desperation, understandably, of a distraught daughter feeling helpless, reaching out to the public. But the key metric here is desperation. And who wouldn't be after 10 days of anxiety-ridden days and sleepless nights? According to the New York Post, Pima County, Arizona cops feel that Nancy was kidnapped after she vanished hours after returning from a January 31st family dinner. But Chris Swecker, an ex-FBI assistant director, cast doubt on this theory. If this was a kidnapping, it would be a very simple matter to authenticate and provide proof of life. That's what he said to Fox News on Sunday. And this didn't happen because they couldn't. This happened because the bogus ransom note scammers don't have Nancy. They never did. And according to AZ Family, the FBI is not aware that the Guthrie family has had any communication with, quote, suspected kidnappers over the past 24 hours, let alone the last 10 days. I mean, we know that the ransom messages were sent to the media, not directly to the family. That in itself is highly, highly unorthodox.
We're also hearing from the FBI tonight. They sent us a statement just a few minutes after that 5 p.m. deadline passed, telling us that they were unaware of any more communication between the Guthrie family and the suspected kidnappers. The FBI adds that agents are working around the clock on this case.
And that's from 1 minute 44 seconds into that AZ Family clip.
So one of two things must be true. Either something went horribly wrong much sooner than the perpetrators thought regarding the health and well-being of Nancy Guthrie, or money has never been the main driving motivation for this kidnapping.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
All right, it's day 10. Now that we know this wasn't a kidnapping for ransom or a kidnapping for money, it's time to start focusing on what this is. I don't think many of you are ready for some of the additional analysis that I've done on an earlier theory I posted. And remember, that was before it became obvious that this isn't a kidnapping. It does seem as if Savannah felt the same way midday yesterday. Hence, when she posted her latest appeal, she didn't address any kidnappers. She also didn't address law enforcement. Instead, she appealed to us, the public. This was, I repeat, even before the deadline came and went. It's important to get the details right in this case, and 10 days later, we are seeing some significant narrative shifts, including those that have to do with Nancy's final hours, what she planned to do, where she planned to be, and how it came about that the alarm was raised. Because it wasn't her family that first smelled a rat. According to Fox News, a source close to the Guthrie family is pushing back on reports about how Nancy Guthrie was discovered missing on Sunday, February 1st, saying that key details of the timeline have been reported incorrectly. Early reporting indicated that Nancy Guthrie had been scheduled to attend an in-person church service in Tucson that morning and was reported missing after she failed to show up for that in-person meeting. According to the family source, that account is not accurate. Now, this is important because one theory that I certainly was starting to consider was whether there was someone in her church group, perhaps even a romantic interest, that was jealous or upset with her or had recently had a disagreement with her. According to Fox News, the source told Fox News that for years, dating back to the COVID pandemic, Nancy and a small group of close friends had a standing Sunday routine that did not involve attending church in person. Instead, the group would gather at one another's home to watch a New York-based church service via live stream. It would be good to get those individuals together to get a sense of what was going on with Nancy, what was she thinking, what was she experiencing, what did she pray about, what were her concerns. The service was broadcast live from a New York church attended by her daughter Savannah Guthrie, the longtime Today Show co-anchor and Nancy Guthrie's daughter. Now, this is another aspect that hasn't been sufficiently emphasized. Savannah and her family, well, I'm not sure if that includes Annie and her husband, but certainly her mother, were very religious. I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, coming back to Fox News, on Sunday, February 1st, Nancy was expected to be at a friend's home to watch the live stream, as she had done every week. When she failed to arrive, members of the friends group became concerned. And so that is really how the alarm was raised among a group of her friends. Not her family, certainly didn't start with her family. And it's interesting that this group is separate from her family. You see, they aren't attending these services together. Back to Fox News. According to the source, one of the friends contacted Annie, Nancy's daughter and Savannah Guthrie's sister, to report that Nancy had not shown up and could not be located. The source emphasized that Nancy was never scheduled to attend a Tucson church service that day, contrary to some reports, and said that the misunderstanding has led to confusion about the circumstances surrounding when she was first reported missing. And I'm glad that we have gotten at least clarification on that point. Now, it does make one wonder, how did that misunderstanding come about? But to return to the original point, Savannah and certainly her mother were very religious. That much has also been clear in Savannah's appeals to get her mother back safely, those that we've seen on Instagram, seen and heard. And also in the theme of her best-selling book, a book that Savannah published 2 years ago in February 2024. We'll deal with that in a moment or two. By the way, if you write a book about your faith, it really demonstrates how sincere you are about it, I would say, as someone who's also authored several books. Look at this headline from today. Why did Savannah write a faith-based book? Well, because she's the person who needs to read it. The Today co-anchor took on a challenge that was both thrilling and scary when she decided to write her latest book, Mostly What God Does. And this is that book. And between the lines, reflections on seeking and finding His love everywhere. And that book did exceedingly well. It was a New York Times bestseller. And it turns out that Savannah, besides being a prominent journalist, is also a very influential one, particularly in the political arena, and particularly, I would say, in the political arena that has to do with evangelicals. Would you guys agree with that? And have a look at this excerpt from Savannah Guthrie's Amazon bio. Guthrie has conducted a wide range of exclusive and headline-making interviews from presidents and prime ministers to some of the most recognizable figures in the world. And it goes on. Now, on social media, Savannah has almost 900,000 followers on X and almost twice that, 1.7 million on Instagram. I'm assuming that number has gone up big time over the past 10 days. But it's not just that Nancy's daughter is so influential, it's the area that she's so influential in, and also the timing of that influence, given what is happening in the American zeitgeist, what is playing out right now. Do you remember there was a political edge to the assassination of Charlie Kirk? If the motive here isn't money, and who doesn't need money, then what is the political puzzle playing out behind the scenes? As I say, I'm not sure if American audiences are ready to think about that just now. Meanwhile, investigators seem to be grasping at straws. According to AZ Family, over the weekend, investigators were inside daughter Annie Guthrie's home, about 4 miles away from Nancy's home. Law enforcement confirmed to Arizona Family News partners on Sunday that investigators also visited a Circle K about 10 minutes from Guthrie's home and obtained surveillance video. It's not immediately clear what the video showed. Also, after releasing the crime scene, the authorities seem to have returned to it and limited access. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said it will continue to maintain a presence at Nancy Guthrie's home for security reasons at the request of the Guthrie family. Outside the home on Monday, neighbors strolled by on their morning jogs and walks, while a county sheriff's deputy remained stationed out front. The mysterious disappearance and search has riveted the U.S. from President Donald Trump, who spoke with Savannah Guthrie last week, to the online sleuths who flooded social media with tips, theories, and rumors. But on day 10, we seem to be no closer to finding Nancy than we did on day 1. Well, except for the fact that we know now that the ransom demands were bogus and that Nancy was abducted for reasons beyond ransoms or money. Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.